Stellanova.
Hello again, ladies and gentlemen, Sonic Amateur from SEGADriven.com, and welcome back to our Sonic Amateur Games Expo 2022 coverage. In this video we're taking a look at Stellanova, developed by Tpot. Now this is a horizontally scrolling shmup, a completely original game, independent development this one, not based on any existing franchises, so yeah, not really a fan game as such. But it definitely takes a lot of influence from a lot of Mega Drive stuff. I can sense some Thunder Force in here, definitely reminds me of Gynood a little bit as well, especially the stage with the water. I'm quite impressed with how well this riffs on classic shmups while also doing something different and kind of unique. So yeah, you can do some interesting bits and pieces in here. You can shoot in both directions, backwards and forwards. You have a choice of 5 different weapons which you slowly unlock. You have a sort of dash ability which you can use to break asteroids. You have an XP system, which means that you can level up the power of the weapons, which is a fun little idea which I'm into. I'm quite impressed with it, and it's got your usual power-ups as well. You've got like shields and options as well to increase your firepower. It's very much ticking the boxes, I've got to say. Visually very pretty as well, absolutely loads of parallax scrolling going on, and I really like the sort of line scrolling effect on the water in the second stage. Definitely reminds me of Hydro City from Sonic 3. So yeah, good stuff. It's a genuinely very good time. It controls well. I love the effects. I think it's very flashy. I think it's very colourful. It's got a nice style of its own. I think it's doing some really interesting bits and pieces and just coming across as something worth checking out, especially if you're a shoot-'em-up fan. The one thing I will say is I do feel like the bosses are somewhat lacking at the moment. So the first one is fairly easy. It just has one firing pattern, and you basically just have to drain its life and then it dies. The second one I found to be quite tedious, unfortunately. I think they need to tweak it slightly. Basically, you can only attack it when it's in the foreground, so you spend an awful lot of the fight just waiting for it to be in the foreground, which isn't so bad when you're fully powered up, because you can do some decent damage even in that small window. But when you're not powered up, when I died and had to continue it during that boss, and basically didn't level up my weapons through the stage. So when I got there, it was just impossible, because every time he came into the foreground, I could only chip away at the tiniest little bit of damage, and I could see myself being stuck on that boss for absolutely ages. You really need to balance that a lot better so that you're actually doing a fair bit of damage when he comes into the foreground. Otherwise, you're just going to spend so long trying to sort that out. Now, granted, maybe I shouldn't have died, but at the same time I think you need to balance it correctly so that you can still chip away some decent damage even when you're at low energy and you haven't leveled up your weapons. Like any good shmup, you can still, a Gradius game, you can still chip away at the bosses even with the little pea shooter starting weapon. But in this, you can do that, but unfortunately you're just going to be stuck there for absolutely ages waiting for the damn thing to come to the foreground so you can do damage to it. Now, again, you can fire back as well, so there is, an opportunity to do damage from either side, but it's just so tedious. So yeah, some tweaks definitely need to be done to the bosses to make them a little bit more interesting. They need more varied attack patterns, and they need to spend more time in a position where you can actually hit them. You can't just have one attack cycle for every boss. That just makes them a little bit tedious, unfortunately. So yeah, definitely needs some tweaking there. But otherwise, I think this shows decent promise. I think it's visually very interesting. I think it plays well. I like the power-up system. I like the XP system. I think that's really fun as well. And the music is great as well. It's not like full-on Mega Drive YM2612 sound chip, but there's definitely some FM synthesis going on there, and it definitely draws from a lot of the sound fonts and the stylings of a Mega Drive soundtrack. So yeah, there's a lot to enjoy here. I would definitely recommend checking this out if it looks like something you're into, but just be prepared for some pretty dull bosses at the moment. They definitely need to be tweaked and made a little bit more interesting. Definitely need more attack patterns, and definitely need more ways for you to do damage to them, especially that second one when it's just you spend so much time waiting for it to be in the foreground so you can do damage to it. Yeah, a bit of a strange one that. But yeah, very interested to see where this goes from here. I will definitely be keeping an eye on this because I love me an indie shmup. And yeah, I have a lot of fun with the indie shmup scene. I think there's some amazing stuff out there. But yeah, this is the startings of something good, but at the moment it's not quite there. Bosses definitely need to be tweaked.